Thank you so much, John Paul. Thank you everybody for joining us this morning. I know it's bright and early, but as college students, you're probably used to getting early. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started here. Um, I hope that everyone is out there staying safe. I know that we live in unprecedented times right now, so I hope you and your family are staying healthy and safe. I do want to I don't think John Paul mentioned this, but we are using technology, so if you're having some issues with logging in or anything like that, I know that it's going to be shared with all of you, the presentation. So you can always go back to it or refer to others as you see fit. So during the presentation, I will be covering TOLA's history, expansion, and we'll dive a little bit into some of the projects and specifics about requirements on how to get accepted into the fellowship. So I am going to begin with, let's see here. It's not letting me, there we go. So I'm going to go ahead and begin with TOLA's mission. And our mission is to train individuals and organizations in the fundamental skills of community organizing and civic engagement. So that is TOLA's mission. So before I begin a little bit more of TOLA, I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself a little more so you know who I am and get to know me a little better. As I mentioned, my name is Maria. I am the program manager for TOLA. And in this role, I support Lolise, who is the executive director in anything TOLA related. So I will be with the fellows of the 2020 cohort on a daily basis to support the projects. So I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I was born in Mexico. I came to the US when I was 8 years old. From a very young age, I knew that I was undocumented. And for that reason, I did not want to attend college. See, back then, it was a little hard to get support from the state to go to college. And so I began working right out of high school. And after 7 years of working in a dental office, I wanted to do something a little bit more meaningful with my life. And so I was introduced to TOLA. I applied, and I was part of the 5th TOLA class in 2013. My project was to build community support for a clinic that would provide acute services to the South Hayward community, regardless of income or legal status. And I just want to note a little bit something about that clinic. When the pandemic first started, about a month in, this clinic was performing 300 tests a day for coronavirus, and it's a very small clinic. And so they were there all day performing tests. They now had to move to a different facility because the demand was just so high. But needless to say that I'm very proud of the work that TOLA did in that project, and obviously the impact that it would have 7 years later. So I was also part of the soda tax victories in Oakland, Berkeley, and San Francisco. Also an amazing project that I was a part of. I took a break from organizing to go back to school. I am less than a year away of receiving my AA and hopefully transferring to San Francisco State in 2022. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to talk to you all a little bit about our founders, TOLA's founders. And some of you may be familiar with other organizing models like the Alinsky model, union organizing models, and the Mistwood Academy model. But our foundation comes from Fred Ross and the lessons learned during the United Farm Workers movement in the 70s and 80s. Our founders, Larry and Ann Tramutola, were both mentees of Fred Ross Sr. And Fred basically found and trained Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta, among hundreds of other organizers. Larry came into the union when he was fresh out of college and was only supposed to be dropping off food donations to the UFW when he was pulled in and ended up staying for 11 years. Annie grew up exposed to union organizing all of her life through her father in the Bay Area, and then the UFW through her mother. So while Larry recruited, trained, ran offices for the UFW, Annie went on to taking care of finances for the union. Both Larry and Ann spent over 10 years of their lives in the union, in the United Farm Workers Union. So as you know, volunteers and young people were the driving force behind the United Farm Workers. And through the discipline and guidance of Fred Ross, many, including Ann and Larry, learned the basic skills of community organizing. They learned focus and discipline, but also how to communicate their message, to inspire people, to activate volunteers, and collectively make a difference. The lessons Larry and Ann learned during those years is what we try to instill fellows during our fellowship, during the TOLA fellowship. So after leaving the union in the early 90s, both Annie and Larry relocated to Oakland. Larry was subbing in the schools for at the time, and he noticed the terrible facilities and conditions that students were facing. So through community organizing, he was able to pass the first bond measure in the state for education. So he continues to help cities and districts by passing bond measures and parcel taxes across the state to improve schools, hospitals, municipalities. And he does this by empowering the people from that community to become involved. So through this work, he built a business working on hundreds of campaigns in the state. And so in 2010, Larry and Ann decided to start TOLA in order to teach a new generation of organizers the lessons they learn in the union and expose them to the experiences of political issues and based campaigns. So since then, we've graduated close to 100 fellows, and over 60% of them are continuing to organize in one form or another. Some are doing union organizing, working with schools and parents, while others have pursued working with tenants' rights, organizations, and political campaigns. And so what began as a dream with no real guidance has now flourished into a structure 4-month experience. And as TOLA has progressed over the years, the quality of our training has also evolved. Lolis, who is the executive director, and I work continuously throughout the year with the city of Stockton and allies to keep campaigns, movements, and visions of equity at the forefront. It is through these relationships that we are able to offer a real-life, real-time project for participants to organizing. The hours for the fellowship are demanding because the project requires it. So the project is meant to have it's to have a tangible impact on the community. And the way we achieve this that change is through engaging that community. So simultaneously, as the project is taking shape, the fellows participate in in-class curriculum and discussions about different topics of community organizing. So essentially what happens in the morning, we're covering a curriculum topic, and in the afternoon and evenings, we are practicing these topics out in the field with the project we're working on. So to give you all an example, I'll describe the soda tax efforts. Like I said, a campaign I was involved with and very proud of what was achieved there. So in 2014, TOLA became involved in the soda tax efforts. And the reason for soda taxes is because there is a diabetes epidemic that has been quiet but steadily affecting generations, especially in communities of color. 1 in 2 Latinos and African Americans are predicted to have diabetes in their lifetime. And there had been 42 previous attempts to pass a soda tax in cities across the nation, and no city had been successful in passing it. And that's because of the massive opposition of the American Beverage Association, which is essentially Coke and Pepsi. So in 2014, with TOLA as the backbone to these efforts, Berkeley was the first city in the nation to pass a soda tax. And what this meant was that distributors bringing in their sugary drinks into the city would be taxed 1 cent per ounce. And the money that would be generated from that tax will go back to the community to support youth and health programs. And when I say that TOLA was the backbone of this effort, what I mean is that the efforts, the fellows activated over 200 volunteers. They sought food donations for those volunteers. They organized precinct captain operations. And what that means is learning how to break down maps, cost sheets, and materials among the volunteers in an effective way. And training and teaching volunteers to take on higher roles and responsibilities. Precinct captains were also in charge of message development, message discipline, and one of the most important things, get out the vote efforts. So Berkeley inspired other cities to pass similar measures. And in 2016, TOLA led the efforts again in Oakland and San Francisco to lead a soda tax, and they won. We won. So altogether, in 10 years, over $250 million will be generated for health promotion programs in those cities who pass a soda tax. Let's see. So after the, there we go. After the success in the Bay Area with the soda tax efforts and seeing the opportunity to expand, in 2017, we made the move from Oakland to Stockton out in the Central Valley. And the reason for the move was, as you know, California is at the forefront of environmental, health, and political activism. And the Central Valley offers the opportunity to work in a diverse community with significant needs. So we wanted to provide the fellows a training place that was more representative of the rest of the nation, and with a more polarized community where the needs are highest. We developed a good relationship with, we also developed a good relationship with Michael Mayor Tubbs, who is the first African-American mayor of Stockton and one of the youngest mayors in the state. He also started as a community organizer, and that's what led him to elected office. So he saw the power in community organizing and insisted on inviting TOLA to Stockton in order to train more organizers. So over several years, we worked with local organizations and youth to attempt to pass a soda tax with revenues funding youth and health programs. We were eventually unable to be successful with the soda tax effort in Stockton due to the American Beverage Association. So over the course of 2 years, we built community momentum with the hope to put a soda tax on the ballot. So we decided to make a video to document the work of our TOLA fellows and the Stockton youth volunteers. Our TOLA fellows like Tahara and Ashley, who you will see in this next video, empowered local youth to take on this issue and became the lifeblood of the effort. So right now we're going to watch a short video and then we will transition into more specifics about the fellowship. The video is about 6 minutes long, so bear with us, and I hope you enjoy the video.
TOLA taught me so many skills that I'm so proud of right now. Not only did I learn like new communication skills, but I learned more about people around me, more about my community and what it really means to do community organizing.
The city of Stockton is really hot in the summer and it's really cold in the winter. It's a city of extremes. There's a really highly developed side of Stockton and an underdeveloped and undervalued side of Stockton. Despite kind of these extremities that we experience, there is this community that is diehard for our people and for this place.
Before I started with TOLA, Stockton was a town where a lot of bad things happen. Everyone kind of just wants to escape it, never come back, go somewhere else that's better.
My hope is to develop a generation of students who are able to acknowledge that some of these issues are systemic and it's not personally their fault, but how do we then empower ourselves to go into these systems of power and to try to change things for our community.
Community organizing is important because it's kind of the base of making things happen, right? Building the people power, getting people interested and like moving and taking action. And I think a lot of times we kind of see the big picture, like we see the Women's March or we see all these rallies, but you don't realize that community organizing is really the base of it.
My first real impression that TOLA was building something beautiful in Stockton was when a group of student organizers were knocking on doors in my neighborhood to share information about the impact of sugary beverages and what it was doing to our community. And I just remember being really blown away that like these 15, 16, 17-year-olds were really, really knowledgeable and driven. And they like knew exactly what they wanted to do and how they were going to get there.
The project was an education campaign. We were talking to people about sugary drinks and the impact that they're having on the community, specifically related to diabetes, because a large percentage of the population in Stockton is diabetic or pre-diabetic.
People deserve to be informed and people deserve to have their voices heard. It allows you to truly understand where these people are coming from rather than just looking at statistical data.
TOLA really brought the issue from kind of the grass tops to the grassroots and got ordinary people involved. And I think what's been helpful for me is that it's one thing to read a statistic on a paper, but to hear and see the stories and like, wow, it is. It is an experience shared by a lot of people. And TOLA was able to illustrate that in a way that the reports I've read and the statistics I oftentimes cite couldn't.
I think TOLA is an effective organizing program because it actually utilizes the lessons that were taught from folks who came before us who've actually used those skills and proven that they're worthy. The lessons we're learning are from Doris Huerta and Cesar Chavez and other folks through the UFW movement who learned that from Fred Ross Sr., who is literally the godfather of like West Coast organizing.
TOLA, so I would explain it as like this super high intensity training program that really teaches you all the basics that you need to know to organize in a community, to build power in a community, and make a difference.
Like TOLA showed me like the true value of community, canvassing around Stockton and talking to other community members and hearing their thoughts and their experiences.
It's so important to build coalitions in community organizing. And I really credit TOLA for doing that well, and not just the traditional community organizing groups, not just staying in the political sphere, but also looking at faith-based organizations and looking at cultural organizations like Little Manila Rising, the Pride Center, Fathers and Families of San Joaquin, Faith in the Valley, all of these organizations that might have separate individual independent goals, but ultimately want to support each other and want to be in communication and coordination with each other.
The TOLA program for me, it's a chance for you to, step out your comfort zone and learn about organizing, like in the real world. And it's a great chance for you to just learn and, not be afraid to make mistakes, because you know that there's people behind you that already know what to do and they're just pushing you so you can, do better. And if you do make a mistake, it's only a chance to learn from it.
The impact that TOLA had in the Stockton community, I think it really had to do with empowering the voices in the community, because everybody has their own power. And I feel that was the effect it had on the youth.
You all tapped into youth, and these youth were now exposed to not only organizing, but knowing how to use their voice. You tapped into their leadership skills to really be able to advocate on behalf of their communities, to advocate on behalf of themselves, I think was really key and very powerful.
When I saw all my students on the steps of City Hall with a bunch of people who I had no idea who they were, like listening to them speak, listening to them present, watching them lead, it was powerful. Youth development and youth empowerment can be buzzwords in progressive communities. It's really hard to authentically do that. It means that you actually have to educate and invest in support for young people. Doesn't mean just like put a young person at a mic and let them go. It means modeling for them for sometimes months or years, right? That's something that TOLA has done really well. The big impact that TOLA has had, in my opinion, is just that we often talk about young people needing to be part of the political system or needing to be part of change, but TOLA actually
makes it happen. And they do it by first educating young people about particular issue areas, giving them skills to organize others, and then setting a clear strategy around how to make the change that they want to see in the world.
Okay, so that was the video. I hope you all enjoyed it. As you saw there, there was a highlighting youth empowerment and raising the youth voice. And really, it was fellows who made that happen. And the fellows did it through understanding community organizing and what we teach in our curriculum. Some of our key lessons learned using our curriculum include communication, messaging, building power, coalition building, public speaking, the impact of personal stories and telling your personal story, relationship building and follow-up, goal setting and strategizing. And each unit is enhanced through our guest speakers. Speakers like Dolores Huerta, Gilda Gonzalez, who is the CEO of Planned Parenthood Northern California, Eliseo Medina, former UFW president and SCIU treasurer, Fred Ross Jr., son of Fred Ross Sr. and longtime organizer, Marshall Gantz, longtime UFW organizer, and who now teaches at Harvard, among many other motivational speakers. So now I'll talk a little bit about the qualifications for TOLA. So TOLA, applying for the fellowship is a selective process. We get many quality applicants, and here's what we're looking for. We accept applicants who have a range of experience in organizing, from people who have no experience at all to those who have done this work in the past at any capacity. We accept all applications regardless of legal status, but we do have an age requirement, and the age is between 22 and 35. We have, however, made exceptions to that in the past. So if you are over or under the age, I would still encourage you to apply. And as I mentioned before, this program is intense, and we have found that quality applicants have a certain set of qualities to help them succeed. And some of those are a desire to learn, the ability to work with a diverse racial, ethnic community and colleagues. A positive attitude is very important because we have long days, hard work. So having a positive attitude is always, it's always encouraging, right? It encourages you to move past whatever you're feeling on that particular moment. A passion to make a difference. Being bilingual is a plus. Obviously, it's not necessary, but we do go into communities that often require us to speak a second language. And this next one is not a quality, but it is necessary. It's a reliable source of transportation. Where's my cursor here? There we go. So the program originally runs from July to November. We are going to, because of COVID-19, we are moving it a couple of weeks. So it will now run from August to November. And each fellow, each fellow has to commit to a full-time organizer schedule, up to 6 days per week, 10 to 12-hour days for 16 weeks. And full-time means that fellows cannot do any part-time jobs, school, or any other commitments for that period of time. The time frame for the fellowship is 4 months, now just 2 weeks less, originally 16 weeks, now 14 weeks. And usually we do 4 months because it's enough time to make an impact and long enough to experience exhaustion and a desire to quit. But for those who push through it, we really do help you succeed. Time finding my cursor here. Okay, so now we'll talk about a little bit about housing. As I mentioned, the program does take place in Stockton. So for those coming to participate from outside of Stockton, housing within TOLA is not provided. We can assist, but each participant is responsible for finding their own housing. To assist with the cost, participants receive a monthly stipend of $2,500, so a total of $10,000 for the duration of the program, to help with any personal expenses. And so now I'm going to try to go to my next slide. And here is, I hope that some of you are already thinking about applying. I know I would love to see your applications. And if you want to apply, here's how you do it. You can go directly to our website, tolacademy.org. And as I mentioned before, we do receive many applications. So I do urge you to make yours as strong as possible. The application consists of your basic information, along with answers to 2 prompts. Your answers should paint a picture of who you are, because we are trying to get to know you better. And you will need 2 letters of recommendation from people who have supervised you in the past, either a professor or a counselor you've worked with closely. This should also be a strong and accurate recommendation that can be filled out directly via our website. So like I mentioned, that our deadline was May 31st. We have now moved that to June 10th. So our new deadline for applications is now June 10th at 5 p.m. After the deadline, what we do is we review the applications and invite participants to make it to second phase of the application process for an in-person or video interview. And in this case, most likely it will be a video interview. And if you have any questions while you're trying to submit your application, you can always contact me directly and ask any questions that might arise while you're filling out your application. So this brings me to the end of my presentation here. Hopefully I've answered any questions that you might have had, and giving you a little more insight about who TOLA is and what we do. So like I said, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I would like to leave you with an axiom that was made by Fred Ross Sr. And the axiom reads, the duty of an organizer is to provide people with the opportunity to work for what they believe in. That is something we certainly try to do here at TOLA. So if you are thinking about applying, go ahead and do it. Like I said, we'd love to see your applications. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. That's my cell phone number right there at the bottom. And Lilisa's cell phone as well. She is the program manager, the ED, the executive director. Our emails are there. Feel free to reach out to us by any means that you prefer. And with that, we are all done here, John Paul.
So, well, not quite yet, because we're going to start the Q&A.
Right. We are done with this portion. We now move to the Q&A.
So, thank you so much, Maria. It's great information that you shared. Amazing organization. We're so glad to have you today. So thank you for sharing with us. Feel free, everyone, to type your questions in the chat box there. We'll go ahead and ask those. I know some are messaging me privately as well, so you can choose to chat with everyone if you want to just kind of share it there, or feel free to message me. It's under Career Center, John Paul Hernandez. One of the questions we have here, are there any virtual opportunities?
Yeah, so that's actually a great question. We usually in the past, we've never done virtual for TOLA. We feel that having that personal connection is super important, but obviously due to COVID, we had to adapt a little bit. So what will happen is the first 3 weeks of the program are going to be virtual. After that, we'll have to see how things are. And see if after the 3 weeks, our plan is to bring everyone together in Stockton, given that we can, that it's allowed for us to do so, and bring everybody together after the 3 weeks. But for the first 3 weeks, it will be virtual. We don't know what's going to happen, right, in a few months with the pandemic. But if if we cannot come together, then the program will be virtual, the whole 14 weeks of the program.
Great, great. Are there any relocation benefits?
Any relocation benefits? We do not have any relocation benefits, unfortunately. The only benefit that we do offer is the stipend. You know, some housing requires you to put some money down, and that'll probably have to come out of pocket for you for now. But just know that you will be receiving a paycheck to be able to pay for, you know, for your housing, whatever housing that you're able to get in Stockton or near Stockton. You will be obviously paid, you know, paid the stipend of $2,500.
Yeah, that's a pretty good stipend for an internship there. So thank you again for sharing that and the details about it. Let's see here. Go ahead and feel free to let those questions coming in. We got plenty of time, everyone. Let's see what else we got here. Do the internship positions have any type of like performance metrics or anything that you use?
I mean, we usually do, you know, everything is enhanced by our curriculum. So we do have, you know, our one-on-ones. If folks want to, we do meet with them during the fellowship and have one-on-ones to kind of learn what they want to get out of the program, right? So we ask, what do you want to learn? What direction do you want to take? And whatever that is, we try to guide them in that direction. So we try to give them a little bit more work towards something that they might want to do. So that's usually how we do our you know, the learning, and for us to try to learn more about them and how we can help everybody steer them in the direction that they want to go.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I have a question here. Do you need supervisor experience or to get any type of supervisory position?
No. You know, the great thing about our program is that, like I said, we accept people, folks from any experience, right? Whether they're straight out of college, or whether they've had a little bit more life experience. We don't require you to have a degree if you don't have one. If you have one, great, but if you don't, we don't require it. We really try to teach everybody how to work together, right? And gain experience in going onto the community and talking to folks and, you know, expressing whatever it is that we're working at that time. So you don't need to have any experience. We also have the opportunity to, you know, if someone excels and really enjoys the program, we also have, like myself, when I did the program in 2013, there's the opportunity to become part of our team, of the TOLA team. So everything that you will learn, you know, through the program. So we'll get that'll be our guide, right? To know if you can really make this if you can do work in this type of environment, and that's the only reference that we'll need.
Great. We have a good question here. How can one stand out in an interview?
Oh, that's a great question. You know, being yourself, because we really want to get to know the person that you are, what you want to contribute to society or just to your own life. So being yourself it's one of the, to me, it's one of the most important things. And, you know, our interviews we try to make them very personal because we really want to get to know you as a person. And so just being as honest as you want, that really helps us really get to know you. So just being honest and being you, you know, we don't, if we like your application, if we like your answers, we don't really care about your resume. You know, and I think that's something that we really pride ourselves in. You could have a great resume and you might not make the program because, you know, we don't see that there's something there that you wanna learn, that you want to get out of the program. And so really just be yourselves, and be honest, be as honest as you can when we ask you any questions.
Great. Thank you, Maria. Roberta Salgado has a question about what you're looking for in qualified candidates.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
What you're looking for in qualified candidates.
I mean, we're really just looking for folks who want to make a difference, folks who want to learn how to organize, and they want to bring it back. They want to bring it back to their communities to make their communities better, because that's what we try to do. We try to give you skills, how to speak to elected officials, how to reach elected officials, right? A lot of people don't know exactly how the political system is stacked up, and we try to teach them as much as possible. We try to teach that as much as possible so that they know how those things work. And in any event they want to continue with us or they want to bring it back to their communities, that they know and they have those skills necessary. Yeah.
That's great. Great. Thank you. We have a couple more minutes, everyone, about 5 more minutes here for Q&A. So feel free to go ahead and type in. If we don't get to everyone, you can go ahead and email us, the Career Center direct, and we'll make sure we get those answers for you. Here's a question for you. Possible career paths. Can you touch on some of the career paths that those that have been through the program go into?
Mm-hmm. So we've had a lot of folks go into union organizing. So a lot of our fellows are either doing union organizing or they're going back to, like we have Aurora, who was in my position last year or 2 years ago. She now works with Power California, which is a huge organization, nonprofit organization in California. So there's different paths you can take. You can either continue to do organizing work with unions. We've also have people who go back to school because they want to get more education to continue doing a lot of things that they learn in TOLA. And I think that the good thing about TOLA and one of the great things that we offer is because we do have the possibility of being out in the community and speaking to different kinds of people, people that might not look like you, you do learn a lot about yourself and how to approach others, right? And so the skills that you learn in TOLA, they're really interchangeable. You can use them for any profession that you wanna do. But yeah, to answer your question, a lot of our folks are going back to union organizing. And they work with schools, with parents. So really, they're doing they're doing everything.
That's great. That's great. Are all majors welcome to apply?
I'm sorry?
Are all majors welcome to apply?
Yes, all majors are welcome to apply. I was gonna, when I went ahead and applied, I was gonna click all of them because I was like, well, anybody can apply, but I had to keep it limited. But yes, any profession that you want to take, you are absolutely welcome to apply.